how do we know if we're on the verge of burnout and the more flow, will that keep us from getting to burnout, or what does that look like?
Yeah, theoretically it can help because it is the opposite of burnout. When you're in flow, you feel like you are serving a purpose. You're feeling engaged in what you're doing. You're feeling a sense of well-being. But you can also burn out on flow, right? You can burn out if you keep working, all the time. You're doing no recovery. You're not sleeping well. You're not eating well. Then obviously you can burn out. That sets the stage. So how would you know if you're burned out? Well, it's the Sunday night scaries. You're on Sunday night and you're like, I don't want to go to work. I don't think what I do matters. Maybe your team has changed, or you have people that you're employed by that just aren't listening. Maybe you feel that you're not valued. There are 6 drivers of burnout that Dr. Maslow has talked about, which is a sense of autonomy, that you're passionate about the mission, that there's values that are aligned. All these things, if they're not there, you're going to feel burned out. And so, knowing that is difficult because sometimes you think, oh, I'm just depressed, or maybe I'm just anxious, or maybe there's all these things. Burnout is pretty pervasive and it can bleed into your relationships. It can bleed into everything. So a lot of employers are becoming a little more savvy with burnout. And I encourage everybody to look at the EAP programs that they may have, like an employee assistant program. They often will help screen for burnout. There's tools they can use because burnout should be recognized. It is what can, ruin marriages and relationships, can cause, more depression. And increase suicide, all the bad things. And so burnout, there are tools to work through that. There's coaches. It might mean a lateral shift to a different department. It might mean upending your whole career, but it can only mean better things if you identify it and learn to work through it.
All right. Is there any specific tool? Like if we have anybody who's listening that's like, guys, I know I'm on the verge of burnout. I feel it at my core. Is there any action that they can take right now to help prevent actually hitting burnout?
3 things. First of all, congratulate yourself that you're identifying that you're burned out. That is the hardest thing to do. It took me years before I realized that's what it was. So congratulate yourself if you're like willing to look at the darkness that is facing you, right? Second thing, take a deep breath. Take 5 deep breaths right now if you're listening. And the third thing, I have a free restoration plan that is a quiz. It's a 10-question quiz. And you can go on my website. We'll give you the link. And it will tell you which of the 3 pillars of burnout that you can start working on now, because there's 3 different kinds of help that you can start doing absolutely now, all for free. Of course, you'll sign up for a newsletter. You can always cancel. I mean, I am so okay with that. I want to help people with burnout. So taking that free quiz, it's 10 questions, will identify which of those pillars of burnout that you could start working on now to get most of your traction feeling better.
Awesome. Well, I know that I always love a good quiz.
Yes. So the actual website, if you're listening, is drlarasalyer.com/catalyst. So we'll put those in the show notes, but honestly, take that quiz. It's a free restoration plan. And you'll get a bunch of articles, videos, things, exercises you can start doing right now just to investigate, where that's coming from. Burnout, we need to help because we're losing lives and everyone's feeling it with this economy and all this stuff. So nobody is safe from burnout.
I love that you said we're losing lives, right? Like that's how serious this is. I think sometimes we can hear these terms and kind of fluff it off as woo-woo or, okay, guys, I don't have that luxury to even think about burnout. I have to do what I need to do for my business or my family. And it's that serious, right? Like it can cost you your life, or there's people around you, right? It's not just how can we help ourselves? How can we help the other people around us, help like them identify their burnout and prevent that from happening?
Oh, for sure. Yes. And the burnout, idea itself is a double-edged sword. So many of us are angry when we're burned out because we didn't choose it. We didn't want this reality to be so different than what we had expected. But there's also a little bit of this, the anger and the bitterness, but we also have to own part of it. It isn't just that we are victims. Yeah, the system is toxic, capitalism, the healthcare system, but also it's owning the part that we can still control, which is the only thing we can control is our breath and our calendar, where we spend our time. And so part of the burnout work that I do with practitioners is really getting deep on, okay, I know it sucks, but like, where can you say no? Where can you say yes? who can you eliminate from your life that is not lifting you up? What projects can you put down? We got to start working on that because it's not going to get better until we take ownership of our time.